You tailored your resume, matched the keywords, found an ATS-friendly template, and hit submit. And then, crickets. You're left wondering, did a robot just eat my career goals? What if I told you that the very hacks you've been sold to beat the hiring bots might be part of the problem? Some ATS hacks can make your resume less credible, less clear, and harder to evaluate. Others parse resumes, apply employer-selected screening rules, search and filter candidates, rank applicants, or use AI-assisted matching. So there is no single ATS process, and that is why one universal resume hack cannot beat every system. It's also important to remember that hiring outcomes can be shaped by many factors, including applicant volume, the timing of your application, internal candidates, hiring freezes, and specific employer requirements. Today, we're tearing down the 6 biggest ATS myths that are holding you back and showing you what actually works. Myth number 1. You can beat the system with hacks. The first myth is the most tempting, that getting a job is a game you can win with secret tricks. You see the advice everywhere. Copy and paste the whole job description into your resume. Say you have skills you don't, or fudge your job titles. The thinking is that if you can just feed the machine the right formula, you'll unlock an interview. But hiring isn't a video game. Recruiters are looking for qualified people, not clever hackers. While matching some keywords is smart, these tricks are often obvious to the human who eventually reads your application. Even when the system extracts those words, copied language does not create missing experience. When a recruiter, interviewer, assessor, or hiring manager looks for evidence behind the claims, the application may quickly fall apart. And this leads straight to the consequence. You torpedo your own credibility. A false or exaggerated claim can be exposed during recruiter review, interviews, skills assessments, reference checks, or employment verification. Instead of looking like a top candidate, you just look like you can't be trusted. Myth number 2. Hidden white text improves your ranking. This is the digital version of writing cheat codes on your hand. The myth says you can trick the ATS by hiding keywords, or the entire job description, in your resume using a white font. The bot will read the invisible text, your match score will shoot up, and you'll land at the top of the list. This is truly terrible advice. While you think you're being slick, you're setting yourself up for a spectacular failure. When an ATS scans your resume, it often creates a plain text version for the recruiter's database, stripping away all the fancy formatting. And guess what? What was invisible in the original document may become obvious after the text is extracted, reformatted, copied, or displayed inside the recruiter system. Now the recruiter may be questioning not only your qualifications, but also your judgment and honesty. What you intended as an invisible advantage may become the most suspicious part of the application. Instead of strengthening your candidacy, the tactic creates a credibility problem that could cause the recruiter to move on. This myth is all about quantity over quality. The advice is to grab every keyword you can find. Project management, agile, data analysis, and repeat them until you're blue in the face. If the job wants leadership, you jam the word leadership in 5 times, thinking it makes you look like a 5-star leader. The reality? Recruiters need context, and some AI-enhanced systems may also evaluate relevance, related skills, and surrounding evidence, not simply raw repetition. Your resume is not a word cloud. Simply listing a skill is weak. A busy recruiter reviewing a large applicant pool must be able to identify the candidate's value quickly. A wall of repeated buzzwords makes that harder, not easier. When you just stuff in keywords, your resume becomes a repetitive, unreadable mess that buries your value. You've added more matching words, but you've provided less persuasive evidence. Myth number 4. Your job title must exactly match. This myth is driven by fear. It tells you to change your past job titles on your resume to perfectly match the one you're applying for. Or worse, it tells you not to apply at all if your experience is a great fit, but your old title was different. Let's be real. Recruiters know that job titles are all over the place. A project coordinator at a startup might do the exact same job as a junior project manager at a big corporation. It's smart to use language from the job description when it accurately describes what you did, but you're not expected to have a perfectly matched career history. Following this myth has 2 awful outcomes. First, if you change your official title, a title discrepancy may raise questions during verification and could delay or jeopardize the candidacy. Second, if you don't apply for a job you're perfect for just because of a title, you're rejecting yourself before anyone else can. A better, more honest alternative is to keep the official title, then clarify the functional scope when necessary. For example, program coordinator, performing project management responsibilities. You've probably heard this rigid rule: never use a PDF, always use a Word doc. This is usually followed by advice to use a bland, single-column resume with 0 personality. The real issue is not simply PDF versus Word. It is whether the document contains selectable text and whether the parser can extract the information in the correct order. Image-only exports, scans, overlapping text boxes, complicated columns, unusual headings, and heavily designed layouts may produce inconsistent results. Many modern systems can handle a clean text-based PDF, but a clean Word document may also work well, depending on the employer's instructions and the specific system. The consequence of focusing only on the file extension is that you may overlook whether your information remains connected after parsing. A heavily designed template can separate titles from dates, employers from accomplishments, or headings from the text beneath them. Even when the resume remains readable to a person, inaccurate extraction can make the candidate harder to find or evaluate inside the system. The consequence of focusing only on the file extension is that you may overlook whether your information remains connected after parsing. A heavily designed template can separate titles from dates, employers from accomplishments, or headings from the text beneath them. Even when the resume remains readable to a person, inaccurate extraction can make the candidate harder to find or evaluate inside the system. Myth number 6. A secret ATS score automatically rejects you. And conclusion. This is the final boss of ATS myths. The myth is that every employer uses the same universal score. Everyone below 1 magic percentage is automatically deleted, and an outside resume scanner can reproduce the employer's private hiring system. Here's the truth. Some employers use rankings, matching scores, knockout questions, or automated screening, but those systems do not all use the same criteria, and the percentage from an outside resume checker is not necessarily the score or even the process used by the employer. Different resume scanners use different models, rules, and assumptions, which is why the same resume may receive different results. More importantly, those tools do not know the employer's private configuration, recruiter searches, internal candidates, or current hiring priorities. And that popular stat that 75% of resumes are automatically rejected, that percentage is repeated constantly, but it is not supported by one clear, credible study proving that all ATS platforms operate that way. The consequence is that the candidate repeatedly rewrites a truthful, readable resume to satisfy a number that may have little or no relationship to the employer's actual process. So, what's the solution? The greatest ATS myth is that one machine, one score, or one secret trick controls the entire hiring decision. In reality, an application may pass through resume parsing, employer-set questions, search filters, rankings, recruiter judgment, interviews, assessments, and verification. That is why trying to fool one imaginary robot can make the application weaker everywhere else. Do not write only for a bot, and do not write only for a human. Build a resume that can be accurately parsed, found through relevant searches, supported with credible evidence, and believed when a real person reads it. You do not beat the ATS. You survive the hiring chain. Thanks for watching. If any of this sounds familiar, if you've wasted hours trying to hack your way into an interview, drop a comment below. You're definitely not alone. And it's not your fault you got bad advice. And if you're ready to stop the madness and learn what really gets you hired, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell.